Don't see it yet.
And we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. Welcome to the Ask Junior portion of our podcast. The Dale Jr. download will be out later today. Xfinity, big partner of ours. Your partner for fast internet. I'm a customer. They sponsor this portion of the show. So we got some great questions. I hope Leah's on the line with you guys and getting your questions in. So let's get started.
All right, first question is coming in from Dave Phillips. He wants to know how much will iRacing at the Daytona Road Course help the drivers prepare for the races there next weekend? And how does iRacing differ from the sims that the teams have?
So the sims that the teams, there's a lot of different things. So iRacing obviously is something you can do at home. If I was going to race at the road course at Daytona, I would probably spend at least one day, anywhere from 4 to 8 hours on iRacing's version of that track. I think one day would be enough. If you wanted to put a little more time in, you could, and preferably like right before you go to the racetrack. So it can be very helpful, and I'll use an example of that. I've never been to Road Atlanta as far as driving around the track. I never raced around it, never practiced, tested there or anything. Jimmy Johnson had a 2-day test back when we were teammates, and he had to leave on the second day and go somewhere. So they called me and said, hey, can you come run this car? We got some simple things that we need to accomplish that, we just need a driver, and you'll be fine. So I spent the day before that on iRacing running Road Atlanta, and I showed up to get in Jimmy's car. I was really nervous. Chad Chad Knaus is pretty intimidating as a crew chief. Doesn't put up with anything. Definitely doesn't like to be slow. So even in a test, I felt a little pressure to go out there and put forth a really good effort. And I hit the track, and in the first run on the racetrack, I was very, very close, within a tenth or two of Jimmy's time, and right on top of his lap times in the second run, and literally hadn't been there an hour. And I got out of the car, and I'm messing around on my phone, and one of the engineers walks up and goes, "So when did you get laps here?" And I was like, "I've never ran here." He's like, "That's what I heard, but I don't believe it." I was like, never ran here before. I've only ran on iRacing the day before for about 4 or 5 hours. I'm telling you, had I not spent that day on iRacing, it would have taken me at least 2 hours to learn the track and get up to speed. So we didn't have to waste time doing that. So that's a great example of how you can use iRacing or even the team or the manufacturer's simulators. The drivers do. They take and use either iRacing or the manufacturer simulators to learn these tracks that they've never been to. Now, if you've been to a racetrack, it's not quite as useful. It's just for fun. But especially when you're going to road courses for the first time, it can be an incredible tool. The sims that the teams have are basically programs that run on a tablet or your computer, and it's basically there's no driving. You plug in a setup, you push a button, and the program runs laps with that setup and tells you how the car is going to handle, where the wedge is, and how the wedge changes through the corner, and it gives it to you in graph form. And if your driver comes in and says, basically, engineer will run sim all week. He'll basically start the program with their baseline setup that they're going to show up with at the racetrack, and the crew chief may give him a list of things that he would like to ask the simulation to try. Raising the track bar, more right rear spring, a unique shock for the left front. The engineer will change all of those components one at a time in the simulation and let the simulation run it. The simulation will spit out data that says this change is going to tighten the car up in the middle of turn 3 and 4. This change is going to loosen the car up getting into turn 1. And he'll, the engineer has that information that the sim's telling him. So when they go to the track and the driver drives the car and says, hey, I'm tight off of turn 2, well, we've got something that sim says will fix that. So let's put that in. Hopefully it works. So that's what the simulations that the team's on, that's how they function.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
Next question is from Blake Webster. What college football team do you pull for? Roll Tide, ?
Tar Heels. Yeah. Mac Brown, back in as a coach of the Tar Heels. I actually got to go and meet him last year. Pretty excited about the direction they're going. I was a Steve Spurrier fan because when he was a coach at Florida, he sent me a couple autographed footballs. I wasn't a fan of Florida, didn't hardly know really who Steve Spurrier was, but these footballs showing up in my office way back in like 98, 99, 2000. And so I kept them. I thought that was very nice, very cool. I'm going to keep these. Actually, I'm going to watch Steve Spurrier coach. And, he gets hired by Washington in the NFL, which is my favorite team. That's incredible. Didn't quite work out like we'd hoped. It was fun, but didn't succeed. And then he goes and coaches South Carolina, who coincidentally had been coached by Lou Holtz, who I had asked to come speak at DEI when Dad passed away. Dad passes away in Daytona, and I was like, I got to get this company fired up about the year. Somebody told me Lou Holtz can do that. I got Lou to come in. He talks to the company. I'm like, you know what? This man's cool. I'm going to start watching the Gamecocks. I become a Gamecocks fan. We actually had Gamecocks recruited one of the players from Mooresville, local high school that I went to. I got to watch that. I got to see how he does. Local guy from Mooresville. So I'm watching the Gamecocks, and then that's where Spurrier goes. I'm like, well, this is great. So I'm kind of a Gamecocks fan. I'm a Steve Spurrier fan, so I was a big fan of theirs for a long time. Then when Spurrier left, I had to go back, I think, and take my allegiance to Carolina Blue, the Tar Heels. So, yeah, long story. Sorry if I was rambling, but that's where it's at.
We got a gift.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Gift.
This is my college helmet right there.
Is this for Mike?
This is for me,
That is
yeah.
for
Yeah,
Mike?
that's for Mike.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's for me.
And this is for you
Okay.
from Lenny Bowler's kid.
Thank you.
Look at that. Gifts,
Very cool.
football helmets.
Out of nowhere. You told me about this, Mike. This is nice. Well, tell people
like
what
it?
this is.
Well, yeah, hold it. I'm not in the thing.
Well,
This is the Georgia Southern.
He's on you, man. He's on
You
you.
got it, James. This is a helmet that Georgia Southern University sent me. That's where I went to college for about 12 years. And this is I don't know, man. It looks sporty, man.
It's
I
awesome.
just love
I like
it.
that flat blue.
Yeah, that's new. That's something that they didn't have back when I was there.
Yeah.
But we're gonna put it in here somewhere, man. I mean, this
like
isn't the only helmet.
The
so-
old school number on the helmet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's so I was really appreciative of that.
Heck yeah.
We're college football
All right.
people around here.
Yeah. I got about 80 helmets. College football.
You do
helmets.
have a lot of helmets. That's right.
Yeah. I
But
don't.
this one is not 81.
I don't have one of those.
You ain't getting this one.
Go ahead, Leah.
Next question from Jeremy Tussey. Who was your very first crew chief, like back in the late model days?
Gary Hargett was the guy that was my first crew chief. Dad put me together with Gary when I got out of street stocks and went into late models. I ran street stocks for a year, Legends cars for a year, and then went into late models. And Gary owned a car down in Union County, South Carolina, or around Pageland, Marshville is actually where Gary lived. Home of Randy Travis. There used to be a sign when you drove into Marshville. I said, home of Randy Travis. Anyhow, Gary, and if you look at old pictures of my dad, there's this one picture of Dad driving this white number 8 Nova back in 1976, and it says on the door, Gary Hargett's Auto Parts. And actually, Gary helped my dad as a crew chief in a way, or a mechanic. He also worked with Harry Gant when Harry Gant drove the Orange 77 in the Sportsman Series in the 70s. Hargett worked on that car. But he was in racing all his life. Also, he was a pig farmer and just a hardworking guy. But Dad put me with him. Said, "Hey, I think Gary can help you craft you into a driver," and away we went. We raced at Myrtle Beach, and which is closing sadly. We raced at Florence I-95 Speedway. We go to Nashville Fairgrounds every once in a while, and but we had a lot of fun. And Gary's still around. I don't know that he's in racing these days, but he was like a grandfather to me. And then I had to make the decision to leave, which is another long story. But that was my first crew chief. It was a big impact on my life.
All right, guys, that's it for today.
All right, that's some great questions. Really, really good. Yeah. Pretty cool. Thank you guys for tuning in to Ask Junior. Thank you for supporting our YouTube channel and everything we do here at Dirty Mo Media. Thanks to Xfinity for supporting our podcast. They're your partner for fast internet. They're a premier partner for NASCAR. They put a ton into this sport over the years, and we really appreciate them. We appreciate you for supporting us. We got a great show. Rodney Childers is our guest. I went to school with Rodney, and then he becomes this great crew chief. We're going to talk about that. He was an amazing race car driver, one of the best local short track drivers in the area that I'm from, and we're going to talk about that. Me and him got in a lot of mischief as well when we were young, and I forgot about it, but he's going to tell me. So tune in. I think you'll enjoy the conversation.